Hi, this is James One. James, the Wine Guy, here to talk about Zinfandel. It's a huge subject, and that's why this video is Zinfandel Part 1, because it's voluminous. It's huge. And this is January 2012, and this is a month where Zinfandel advocates and producers has their annual grand tasting, and it's a fabulous way to uncover, discover, and highlight some amazing Zinfandels grown throughout the state in so many different growing regions and the characteristics coming from those specific wine regions in California. It's a grape that is heralded as being a California grape, and its true origins is Croatia. And through DNA discovery, that was a really interesting study to figure out where it truly came from and what it's related to and what it's not related to. Now, I think that California, at one point, Governor Schwarzenegger, former Governor Schwarzenegger, was going to sign into a bill saying that the Zinfandel grape was a California grape. That was a national, or the state grape of California. And he took away the pen and wouldn't sign, which is, I think, if I were in those shoes, I probably wouldn't have done the same, because it's such a negation for the other varietals that it would have been a huge hot potato that I wouldn't want to be in. Now, I think California has that marquee of being the biggest producer of Zinfandel. Now it's grown in other U.S. states. It's grown in Australia and South Africa, and in its native land of Croatia. It's also grown in Italy. Now, it's a fantastic varietal that, its story archway is coming from Croatia to Vienna to Long Island, New York, somehow making it to California. But really, I think those are really uncertain. They're not like the DNA testing to say, okay, the smoking gun is that, yes, this is DNA from the Zinfandel from Croatia. And those resolutions have really put to rest some questions. And I think the other ones are really how did it get here? I think there's a multitude of ways of how it gets here, but how did other wine varietals make it to the specific regions? Now, Zinfandel is a wine grape that I think its characteristic is it's easy to enjoy. It's high alcohol. On the high alcohol note, though, it's one of the few varietals, in my opinion, that can handle its high alcohol. It doesn't mask the flavor characteristics. It definitely enhances it. Some other red varietals tend to be that when you taste the high alcohol, you're tasting heat, and it's masking some of those nuances. So I think this is a really good example where Zinfandel can handle its high alcohol and does so quite superbly well. Now, these are examples of Zinfandel that I have. So Turley, it's one, and first of all, cool bottle. It's a Burgundy style bottle. It's one of these infamous labels that everybody wants and everybody is rushing to. Now, that is something that you should not just consider tasting alone. You should taste this and other Zinfandels. There's so many out there. Now, I have some examples, and these are from Visa Tui, and it just demonstrates how many and where they come from. So this is Russian River Valley, Old Vine 1915 Vineyard. This is Hell Mountain. This is in the, say, 14.5% alcohol range, and this is Valley Floor. So this is something that is, a typical Napa Valley Floor Zinfandel, Old Vine, and that's a great story in and to itself. So Old Vine is really predominant in the Zinfandel world in California. It survived Prohibition. Not that a lot of acres survived or all acres survived. They didn't. In fact, probably just a portion of that did. Now, how did even those acres survive? That's really about Prohibition and how people still produce wine beyond sacramental wines or familial wines or for one's own family use. It was still being produced. There's no getting around that. Now, Zinfandel is, if it had been, its provenance had been France, it would be an international grape, and it would, I think it's in some ways it's finding its reach to a different audience. I think white Zinfandel was really terribly unhelpful to this wine category. So I think some of those marks off were, oh, Zinfandel. Okay, you hear the Z word. Okay, it's associated with white Zinfandel. I think people are getting through that and getting away from that. White Zinfandel style itself is probably going to devolve, which is, I think, in my humble opinion, it's a great thing. And I think it really shows its ability to be flex and deal well with food that is true Zinfandel. And I think that this wine is something that is will be, I think we'll have a new viewing of what an international varietal is in the next 10, 20 years. And maybe that would be other varietals that don't come from France that are included, say Tempranillo from Spain and Portugal, from Italy, Sangiovese, and definitely the Zinfandel from Croatia, Italy, and the US. Will have that marquee at some point. I think it's just its flavor significance, its distinction, its ability to work well with food. And I think that will be a defining way of talking about or thinking about international varietals. Now, just a little bit about the discovery of Zinfandel itself in terms of what it is or what it was not. So, UC Davis professor Dr. Gohier was in Puglia, the boot heel of Italy, at a conference, and he said, "Oh, this Primitivo, well, it tastes like Zinfandel." So there begins some of that folkloric looking forward and viewing of what Zinfandel is and is not. In 1972, there was an ampeleographic study that said and declared that Zinfandel and Primitivo are identical. Well, that's kind of like it's a study of vines, but that particular statement, while true, was not the smoking gun of certainty. It was you could look at two stars in the sky and say, they look like the same color, the same size. Well, in reality, they're probably different stars, star types, different quality of light, etc. In 1975, isosome fingerprinting said that Zinfandel and Primitivo are the same. Now, you fast forward to DNA fingerprinting to really say that these wines have this lineage and have this DNA background. Now, Dr. Gohier again, UC Davis in 1982 says that Plavatsmali and Zinfandel are similar but not identical. Something that was pretty much a good way to talk about this wine here, the Plavatsmali, which I have an example here. But at this point, we're not really certain about it. We know that there's a kinship and relationship, but we don't know what that is in 1982. In 1993, Dr. Carol Meredith, who has a lot of credit and talking about Zinfandel, and she confirms in 1993 that Zinfandel and Primitivo are identical. Now, just a little side note, because I can do another video on this, is that when you think of Primitivo and Zinfandel, some camps are really heated about it. No, they're completely different. This one is not related to that. Basically, they're clones, and it would be like calling each Pinot Noir clone a different varietal. So I think at some point in the future, the USTTB, the US regulator for wine grape names and labels, will really clarify what that really is to be called, and or how it can be called. You can't call Zinfandel and Primitivo on the same label. In 1998, Dr. Carol Meredith, again UC Davis, with partners from the University of Zagreb, and they say that they find that one parent in the Plavatsmali is Zinfandel, or in Croatia it's known as Cyrillianic Kasalanski. And it's a hard one to say, it's a big word. And her colleagues later on in 2000, Dr. Ivan Piecic and Eddie Maletech, discovered that the other varietal is a Dobricic, which is also another unique, distinct varietal indigenous to Croatia. So when you think of all these things that come together that finally dispel the myth of what it is and what it is not, and I think the DNA studies are really essential to really uncover and discover what those things are. Now, I did mention to a winemaker, I said, I think Zinfandel is an amazing varietal, and it's a really great wine freeway on-ramp to enjoy red wines. And they were thinking, oh, well, that was my end statement. And I said, no, I think it's that, plus it's also the wine freeway itself. So it gets people to enjoy Zinfandel, and you stay in that camp, you stay loving it. And it's a fantastic varietal that I enjoy. So again, part 1, part 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 are still to come. There's too much to talk about. It's a great wine. For more reviews, please go to jamesthewineguy.com. Please subscribe to my videos on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Vimeo, and Google+. Salud.